Hello, welcome to this video. In this, we're going to look at preparing a series of calibration standards for testing for CBD. What we're going to do is take you through step by step how you need to do all of the different dilutions, what you're going to need to do it. So, anybody that never done anything like this before, hopefully once you finish watching this video, you're going to be able to understand. And if you've got the right pieces of kit, you'll be able to go and do it. Right, let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to need to do this is all these little bits and pieces that we've got here. So sample vials and caps. We're going to need some different pipettes. We'll talk about these in a minute. These are all different types. We are going to need an analytical standard. So this is in a sealed ampoule. We're going to need some analytical grade methanol, a pen to mark up the vials. I'm going to need some safety goggles and some gloves. So very quickly, we'll just touch on pipettes. So if you're not aware what a pipette is, you can almost think of it like a bit like a syringe that is used for drawing up and dispensing predetermined quantities of a liquid. So there's different types of pipette. So the most common type that you're going to see probably looks something a little bit like this. You're going to have a clear tip like this that fits on the end of it, and then up here you'll be able to adjust so you can see these numbers changing. So this will change the volume that you're going to dispense. These are probably the most common kind of pipettes, and chances are these are going to be the type that you will be using or have. The next type of pipette, which are the ones that we're going to use for this video, are very similar, same kind of principle. So you have you can set the quantity of what you're going to draw up, and we've got different pipettes for different volumes. So this one does 100 to 1,000 microliters, and this one is suitable for 50 to 250 microliters. The difference with these are what's called positive displacement pipettes. So these are sort of the gold standard really for pipetting, and the difference here, if we click on the tips on, you can see that the actual plunger is located within the pipette tip. So you can see that moves up and down, and that gives the most reliable and accurate way of dispensing these liquids. Final one I just want to touch on is this little one here. So this is a little glass Pasteur pipette, and what we have here is like a little rubber bung that goes on the end of it, and we use this for this is used really just for transferring liquids. It's not suitable for accurate measurement or anything like that, so you're not going to be using this for measuring anything. It's just purely going to be for transferring. Right, let's get started. So obviously safety first, make sure you put on your gloves and safety specs. So first thing we're going to do is take our analytical standard. So these are typically kept in a freezer or fridge, more usually a freezer, and so they need to be brought out and allowed to come up to room temperature before we start doing anything with them. The next thing to do will be to just inspect your sample here to make sure that it's within date and that it's what you're looking at. So here we've got CBD 1 milligram per mil in methanol. This is an old standard that we've got actually, so as you can see this one was expired October 2022. So make sure you're using fresh standards. We're just going to use this for the purposes of this video, but obviously if you're doing it, ensure your standard is within date. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is break open the ampoule. So if you want to come in close, you can see around here there will be a very fine line around here, so it's pre-scored. So what we're going to do is we're going to snap the top off it. So I'm just going to pop it down here into a sample tray here so it's nice and sturdy. We're then going to take this just to protect our hands and just snap like that. Click, off it comes. Now what I'm going to do is just label this up with the concentration. So this one is going to be 1 milligram per mil. So I'll just write that onto here. 1 mg, and then that's what this concentration already is. So we're just going to pipette that straight across into here. So just going to take our glass pipette, draw up the standard and dispense it into there. Like we say, the purpose of this is not to be accurately measuring anything. It's purely a pipette just used for transferring the standard from one to another. Make sure we get it all into there. Right. So this is where we're now going to do our first dilution. So we've got our stock standard here of 1 milligram per mil. The next one we're going to make up is half as dilute, so 0.5 milligrams per mil. So what we're going to do is take 500 microliters of this, transfer it into another vial, and then add 500 microliters of methanol. So we'll take our pipette, we're going to use the red one. So this has a range, I don't know if you better pick that up on here, of 50 to 250 microliters. So we want 500 microliters, so we're going to do two 250 pipettes. Now you can see on here it's set to 250, so that's the volume. Click, and then you can probably just see the tip coming up and down like that. So I'm going to place that into this vial, push down, suck up, then we'll push down again just to push out any bubbles, draw up, and then into the next vial, decant, and then another 250. Push down again, make sure we haven't got any bubbles, draw up, and into there. Right, we have now got, I'll take this and put this into here just so we don't knock them over. So now we need to add methanol to this. So for that, we are going to use this blue pipette. So this is 100 to 1000 microliters. So we can do the full 500 in one go. The reason we're using this one for the methanol and we didn't use it for the other one is purely the size of the pipette tip wouldn't have fitted in the, there we go. So we're now at 0.50, so half the capacity. So that'll be 500. So we'll take one of the blue tips here, connect, make sure the pipette tip is moving. And then we're going to do the same thing. Just draw up and push out a few times, make sure there's no bubbles, draw up, and then add 500 microliters methanol. We're then going to grab a cap. 1 second, I'll just take this one. And then mark on here what it is. So again, 0.5. And what we need to now do is just make sure that this one is properly all mixed together. So we could either vortex it, but we've got a roller over here. So we're just going to pop it on the roller and leave it rolling. If you don't have any of these, you can do it the old fashioned way by just shaking it. Right, so now for the next one, we're going to produce a 0.1 milligrams per mil. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take 100 microliters of our first standard, decant that into here. Then we're going to add 900 microliters of methanol. So we get a 10-to-1 dilution. So first thing, we're going to use the same pipette. We're going to come down from 250 all the way down to 100. There we go. And now you can see the distance that it's moving is greatly reduced, sucking up a lot less. So same procedure again. We're just going to go into this standard, push down, up, push down, make sure there's no bubbles, draw it up, pull it out, and then decant into here. There we go. I'll put that just there so we don't fall over. Now we're going to take our other pipette, and we're now going to have to change this one to increase the volume because we now need to get 900 microliters. So in this one, we go the opposite direction until we get to 0.90. And again, you can see that the throw on this will now have increased, so we're going to be sucking up more methanol. So same thing again, in we go, out, make sure there's no bubbles, draw it up, and then add that. And that's that one done. So this is going to be our, we're going to call our B stock. So we're going to then use this one to make the next two samples. So let's seal it up and give it a shake. And obviously label it 0.1. Right, so now we've finished making up this 0.1, which is going to effectively be our second stock mix. We're not going to be using the original anymore, so we can just cap this one off. And that's ready to be tested on the GC. This one, we're now going to use for diluting down for the next couple of standards. Okay, so this one, we're effectively going to do exactly what we did on the previous one. And we're going to make a 0.05. So we're going to dilute this one 50% into the next vial. Now, really key point, we're going to change pipette tips, because what we don't want to do is any residue of the stronger mix in here going into here and sucking that up, so we don't get any cross-contamination. So we're using a different strength stock mixture here, so a new pipette tip. So that's connected. And again, what we're going to need to do first of all is reset this to 250. There we go. I can take this. Again, make sure that you have properly mixed this, that it's been shaken, stirred, rotated, vortexed, whatever you need to do just to make sure that the mix is all mixed up properly. And we're going to do the same thing that we did previously. We're going to put our pipette tip in, draw up, push down, draw up, 250 microliters into there. Down, draw up, push down, draw up, and another 250 microliters. So that gives us our 0.5 ml. And then we're going to take methanol, and we again need to go back down to 500 microliters on this one. We can use the same pipette tip on this one, it's not a problem because we're still just using the same, it's not been introduced to anything else. So it comes, 500 microliters goes in, and we can cap it off and then write on it. So this one is 0.05. Now, final one, we're again going to do very similar to what we did, and we're going to make a dilution 1/10 of this. So we have 0.01 milligrams per mil. So again, back to this one, turning this down to 100 microliters. In it goes, and we're going to drop 100 microliters here, as always making sure there's no bubbles in it. In it goes, and then we're going to add back from this one back up to 900 microliters. There we go. And cap it off. So we can now cap them all off. We'll label this last one. .01. What's on there? Make sure they're all well mixed, as we said. But then we have our calibration. So we have 1 milligram, 0.5, 0.1, 0.05, and 0.01. What we'll do then is pop these onto a GC, run them all, and that will create our calibration curve.